Hello everyone. Happy New Year. Today I want to talk about a subject that means a lot to me. I have a lot of clients coming through my doors, and sometimes I have a situation where I have a client who's had some, shall we say, criminal issues which affect their immigration. And because of that, I really want to get this point across to all of you out there. For those of you who are foreign students here in the U.S., whether you're just visiting, whether you're staying here on a work visa like an H1, L1, if you're a permanent resident, if you're here and you're anything but a citizen, what I want to very strongly indicate to you is that you must be very careful about anything that might get you in trouble with the law. And this is in particular for those of you who are students. There are a lot of things we do in college. It's a time of discovery. You no longer have your parents around to tell you what to do to enjoy yourself, to experiment, going out with friends. You have more responsibilities. You're studying. You're responsible for your finances. But I want you to really think about the fact about whether you enjoy visiting this country, whether you think that it's possible in the future you want to stay here, whether you end up getting a permanent job here, or you want to work here, or you meet someone and then you want to spend your life with them here. All of these things. What is important to know is that there are certain types of crimes which can cause you great risk. You're risking your ability to come here, to stay here, or to ever come back here. Your ability to, if you someday want to become a permanent resident or a citizen, these can all impact. And so it's important for you to pay attention before it happens. Or if something does happen, to do something about it and to think about what you're doing. Now, it's really two parts. The first part is what we call preventative. Just like how you brush your teeth in the morning so you don't get cavities, then always being aware of your surroundings, always being aware of what you're doing is very important when you're not a U.S. citizen. Now, many students, when they're here, when you're at school, maybe you go out with friends, sometimes people like to drink alcohol if they're of age, and, but sometimes you may drink more than you should, or you don't really know your tolerance level, and it could affect you. Well, that is one of the possible violations that can cause problems. Any kind of conviction for what we call DUI, driving under the influence in California, drunk driving, even for taking controlled substances, even though marijuana is legal in California. If you're intoxicated or if you're basically high while you're driving, then that's considered driving under the influence. Now, certain circumstances that could result in you either being ruled inadmissible, not being able to come back in the U.S., or removable, which means you'd be removed. It also may result in the loss of your visa status, whether you're a student, whether you're working, or even possibly your loss of your permanent residence status if you're a permanent resident. So the number one thing I have to say to you is always think about that. I frankly tell my clients, until you're a citizen, I suggest that you be an angel. You don't do anything that might get you in trouble, simply because what is important in the long run? What do you want to do with your life? And if what you want to do with your life is connected to being within the United States, then these are things you have to think about. DUIs, drug convictions, financial crimes. Anything that results in someone losing over $10,000 could be disastrous for your situation. Also, another thing is to be concerned about. Sometimes when you're dating somebody or if you're married, people lose their temper. Well, domestic violence is never acceptable. And with immigration, if you have a domestic violence conviction, then that's even more disastrous. Because not only have you done something but you're in trouble, but again, it may cause you to be removable, may cause you to be inadmissible, can't come into the United States, and this could be for forever. It could also cause you to lose your permanent residence. So you need to think about these things ahead of time in order to best safeguard your long-term goals. Now, the second part of this is, in some situations, things happen. Unfortunately, you had one too many drinks, you get stopped by a policeman, he says, okay, you're driving under the influence, we're going to take you in. So, the second part is, if you are arrested for anything, then it is important that you obtain an attorney as soon as possible. If you're arrested, as a policeman will say to you, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot get an attorney, one may be appointed for you. So the point is, if you're arrested, you don't have to say anything. You don't have to justify yourself to the policeman. If the policeman's going to arrest you, then you simply ask to speak with an attorney, and you speak with an attorney. It's important that you have counsel, and that counsel can perhaps discuss with police your situation and try to resolve the situation so that the best result for you is achieved. That means you may have to pay a fine or something of that sort, and so be it. But also to keep in mind your immigration, your situation, permanent resident, student, working visa. So it is important for you to obtain competent counsel, one who understands criminal law and one who understands immigration law. Maybe it's not the same attorney, but you need to coordinate these things so that both your criminal attorney, your immigration attorney, they understand the situation so that you can avoid a situation where you're going to be found removable or you're going to be found inadmissible, or you're going to lose the status you have. My advice is don't commit crimes, of course. But I say to my clients, look, if you're a U.S. citizen, you should not be committing a crime. But if you do, you're going to go to jail, and then you're going to come out. Maybe it's 20 years later, maybe it's 5 years later, maybe it's less than a year later, but you will come out. Hopefully, if it's, obviously sometimes people don't come out of jail, then you will go on with your life here. If you are not a citizen, if you are a permanent resident, if you are only here on a visa, then you may go to jail. And then after you go to jail, you will be kicked out of this country. Now, particularly to those of you who have spent a majority of your life here, so the U.S. feels like home. Perhaps you waited to become a U.S. citizen because you just want to wait, but you spent most of your time, you consider yourself pretty much an American, but you rather not yet become a U.S. citizen. Well, just remember that as a citizen, you're a citizen of the United States. If you are not, and you commit a crime that causes you to be removable and for you to lose your permanent resident status, then that's that. So please, first, think about what you're doing and how it might affect you if you decide to do certain things. But then the second is, if something happens and you find yourself in a situation, make sure that you talk to competent attorneys who can help you to deal with criminal matters and their effect on your immigration status. Thank you. Hope everyone has a very happy, prosperous, and safe New Year.